All right. Well, this is going to be it. It's the Okay Grognard Show. Streaming, doing a little map work today. Hoping it works out. Hoping I get a few people joining me. If not, it's still what it is. Let's see here. If I click that, get rid of that screen. We'll bring up our little map there. This was a 2002 rendition of Jalston, which is a primary town location that I use for running adventures. I've mostly run first edition Dungeons and Dragons, but I've run a fair share of other systems with it. Encroachment, says Jan Janssen. Let's see what he has to say for himself. Good to see you, John. Thanks for joining me. I guess this is the first official episode of the Okay Grognard Show. It's coming from Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, live. It is one of multiple ways that we'll be putting out material, whether we do anchor podcasts or this is on Twitch and it's using OBS software. I also have Zoom that I'll be trying to do some seminars / meetings / online gaming through. And we'll see how that goes. But this is just a stream, Twitch stream. Hopefully people will come in, join the chat, talk to me as I'm working on making a new map for Jalston. Let's see here. Just double checking some PMs I got. Letting some people know. Come join the chat here. 2002. Necromagnus asks 2003, you say. So does this mean the map is about 550 years out of date from my maps? Well, I'll tell you, in actuality, this map was from a supplement I put out in 2002, which I called Locust Jalston, for those who might remember it. It was under the banner Tumultuous Times, third-party publisher logo on the bottom, and an early Creative Mountain Games logo. It's a player's view of a large town. The year in the campaign world of Grymvald, or Revlock as it was known then also, was the 521st year of the calendar. But since then, the campaign, well, actually no, the kingdom is in the 521st year of the calendar. And Jalston began as a colonial settlement about 400 years prior to that date. But this is now 50 years further into the future from this time, and the update to the map itself is kind of a long time coming. I just ran a year-long campaign here in Lake Geneva at Lake Geneva Games using first edition rules, and We did use this map, although partway through the campaign, about midway through the campaign, the adventurers, most all but one, went through a portal and advanced the timeline by 50 years. And although we sort of glossed over it in the campaign itself, the actual campaign advanced 50 years into its own future. So the town did evolve, and the idea was that I would need to evolve the town map-wise and otherwise. I looked at, and I fall heavily on using dice and logos maps for a lot of things nowadays. I've been a Patreon supporter of Dyson for about 4 years. I throw him about $10 a month, I think, because I think he does great work, and I like the idea of being able to use what maps he releases under Creative Commons as potential maps for various sites in my own campaign world. And I like the fact that I can take his maps and modify them. I will show you one map I was originally looking at using as a potential Jalston upgrade. It would need some changes, obviously. For instance, if we were to rotate this map 90 degrees clockwise, if we throw a river in here, you could see how this could be an update of this map here fairly easily. But it wasn't long before I decided this wasn't quite the map I wanted to use, and I started looking at what he had put out as his Kraken Leylath map, and it was a City of the Academy. Again, Dyson Logos, great maps. If you're not supporting him on Patreon already, please do. He's a wonderful guy, a wonderful cartographer. Most of you probably already know that. Anyway, I looked at this map as a potential one to upgrade and make some modifications to. And I've been well underway for a while. I'll show you what I've got so far. So as you can see, I twisted the map a little bit. I added a enclosed harbor. This is where there will be a number of military ships. While there are still other places for boats to dock, this will also be where they will be building ships. Now, if you check this out in relation to the original map, you can see the river, you can see where these buildings were. It is a huge, but 50 years of growth. And you can see the old map kind of looks in some ways similar. The original keep would have been right about there. And then the original docks and harbor, the Farsiders, is noted over here. And then if we go back to this, you can see what I've been doing here is taking his map, twisting it, adding to it, and I do intend to fill in a lot of this area outside the gates here and here with more buildings. Across the way, adding some more. I may add some more walls or fortifications over here as well. All of it's being done in as much of a similar style as possible to what Dyson has done with his original. And you can even see I've changed some things in the interior too, because of specific things that are in my own setting. For instance, you can see this has been changed slightly in that I put some additional towers around the outside corner walls or platforms for guards and whatnot, you can see that outside the walls he really didn't have quite as much going on out here, and of course had to put the river in, so that changed quite a bit. Oh, I see we got quite a few people already in here. Alex joined us, and Hobbsy's out there. Very nice. Oh, and Extra Life. John Gilbert's in there too, Yoda Stein. Or is it Steen? I guess I don't really know. Well, let's type in a quick thanks for joining, everybody. Does anybody have any questions regarding what I've been doing with these maps so far? Feel free to post them in the chat, and I'll try to answer them as best I can. Although, in a lot of ways, I'm not even sure what I'm doing. Looking up a little higher, missing our Civ game. Yeah, John and I were going to have our regular Civilization game on Sunday at GaryCon again this year, and sadly that's not going to happen. We will get back to it next year, though. It will be fun. We will enjoy ourselves whether we like it or not. So, this process that I use is pretty slow. A lot of what I do is wrangle a building from here and a building from there, and either move them in or copy them, add them, twist them. Let's see, it's been a little while since I've worked on this map, so let's see how much I can... Oh, I see. I've got a lot of layers here right now. Which layer is this on? You know what? Let's go down here. It's behind my big head, but I'm going to merge the visible layers so that I can get back to this, making a copy of that. If I then paste it, you can see it showed up here. And then it's just a matter of moving these things around to different places. And this way I maintain the integrity of Dyson's style within the map as a whole. Every now and then I'll draw some things on in my own way, but even the little, what I call stones that mark the paths of trails or roads or streets outside of the town, I generally grab up little chunks of pieces from his own maps and then drop them in repeatedly. You'll see some duplication so that it all looks the same. None of it becomes something that looks so different that it's jarring. I don't want any of my finalized maps to yeah. Are you just using your mouse to draw things on? Mostly I copy and paste, but I do draw with just a mouse. Rather than using a stylus. So, switch back over to this other thing. I've got two computers up and running so that I can keep the chat and the screen up on one screen over here. Well, over here I've got my own visual, have the programs open so I can keep track of everything as I go. Hopefully that'll keep me from getting to taxing the computer too much and then winding up with a situation where everything freezes up on me. Not the greatest system in the world, I'm sure, but it appears to be working for now, and we'll see how long it continues to work. Everything's going to be trial and error at the Okay Grognard Show. And then maybe one day I'll actually get good at this. So if I just want to line these streets, all right, let's take a closer look at over here, where we've got some of these stones. Now obviously a lot of these are just in a bad place. If I wanted to actually make this all hook up, I'm going to need to just move some of this stuff around. Yep. Change layers. Slide it over. Once again, switch over there. Move it into there. Oh God, yeah. It is, I'm sure, what everyone will know, a painstaking process. It's much longer than it would be for someone who's more qualified to do mapping. But at the end of the day, it does get the job done. Also notice that I'll have to merge these visible. Get myself white. Get rid of that so that I can then go here and just fill in these spots where I move some stones around. All right. Not that everything has to be perfect, but I do want to slide that one over just a little bit. And then once we do that, we get there, fill that spot in, and there we go. So, is it boring enough for you yet? It's not an exciting job, that's for sure. So we can talk about a bunch of other things while I'm doing this and just plugging away at it. Let's see, let's move it out a little bit. All right. Any other questions in the chat at all? Let's see. Oh, gotta switch to that. Slide this baby over there. Let's grab another building from here. And you know, these ones that are sitting in the river over here that I'm grabbing up, I just copy and pasted from another section of the map and then kind of threw them all in the river in sections so I can pick and choose from among them in this river section over here and add them in as I go. Oops, is that what I want? No, I want that lasso tool. Alright. Switch there. There we go. Switch over. Move it in. Because essentially what's along the river here is going to be just a bunch of small buildings, some residents. There'll be a lot of fissures. I should leave that corner for something a little larger. Maybe something bigger there too. How about this one? That looks like it'll fit in there pretty well. And a lot of this, like I say, trial and error, so I'm just monkeying around as monkeys do. Fitting them in such as I can. And then, let's see this one here. Got to make sure when I do lasso them I don't have too much outside of the building. Otherwise, when I try to fit it in, I'll be covering up a building that I've already placed. So it's just a matter of keeping it tight, I guess. Alright, so we just did a little section there. Whoop-de-doo, huh? And while this will eventually need to get filled in, it doesn't hurt to do it as I go along. Alright, so let's have another look there. See what we got. Alright, so this little corner all got filled in. Alright, you can see there's not a lot to it. If this is a stable corral and they have some agriculture out back, then we can also grab some more of that and copy it and then put a fresh paste down. It will dump right on top, so we gotta go grab it, slide it around, put some more on the other side. Then we can put some more buildings in here, so let's leave some room for them. Is that going to look too much the same? Probably. So how do we cheat on that? Well, first we merge our layers, then we move in a little closer. We want it to look a little different from the other ones, so we'll just grab a little erase tool. Or even better yet, you know what? Let's just grab half of it and then slide it over, essentially shortening the lines, making it tighter, and then deselect and paint it in. So it's not as wide as that. It's not as obvious. Maybe we'll even get rid of just one of the lines. Shorten it up a little more. And then, let's not do that. Move it over. Yeah, let's put it right behind there. Alright. Deselect again. Fill in that. And we're good to go. Uh-oh. I think we had an extra click there that we didn't want. Yep. It's trying to do the whole map. Well, that's going to take a little while it sorts itself out. Alright. And I think before we go much further, we should just save that. Alright, let's back out. Have a little look-see. Doesn't look like anything got ruined by that errant clicking. So you can imagine, at some point we've got to decide how big the total map needs to be. Now, it may be that the actual size of the map is only going to go out maybe this far and be chopped off there, be chopped off there. We may actually make the whole map only this big to cover what I actually need. So while I might produce the map further out, and we don't want too much dead space. The Great Mouth Bay doesn't need to be 3/4 of what the final map is. So we can really cut her off there. Just have a road trailing off in that direction, roads coming down this way, roads heading out from the town in those directions, roads moving around the outside of the town, a lot more farm fields probably out this way, a lot more agriculture trailing off the map this way, and then chop the map off at some point there. So we'll probably actually make as much of that and then crop it, and then put it, take the whole thing and put it on a parchment background or something nice just to clean it up, or make it look a little classier than what I have. We will see. Yeah, well, we're coming up on about a half hour. I've shown what I do when it comes to changing or updating a map from this archaic style here, which, was great in 2002. I think it still looks okay. It's not super fantastic. What I used to do back in those days was use NBOS software, which was early mapping software in the early 2000s, late 1990s, that sort of rivaled Campaign Cartographer. Was an alternative to that was just getting started back then. And I would create the bulk of the map in that, and then I would bring it into InDesign. I'm still using Adobe software, as you can see. I've got Photoshop. I use InDesign. I use a number of their softwares. Audition I use for editing video and audio. Anyway, I used to just make the bulk of the map in that, bring it into InDesign to number and label everything, and then produce it straight out as a PDF. So most of my mapping was done just the way this looks here. And then I would, drop everything on a parchment background. And then, like I said, label it in InDesign. And it turned out okay. But we can do a lot better with maps nowadays. I might not be as proficient at it as most people. I'm sure I'm not. But at the end of the day, you don't have to be super proficient if you've got more time than money. You just have to take your time and make it look like what you want it to eventually look like. And keep an eye on the details. If you make sure that your details are done with purpose, then what you'll have eventually is a map that actually makes sense and fits your setting. And because you've constructed it painstakingly, you'll have a lot of time to think about what's going where. Definitely the Temple to Topher that my last group was involved with. They were sort of the patrons of the party. That's going to be located right there. And many of the places that are outlined in this early supplement, let's see here. Many of the places that were outlined in this early supplement, all of these locations here, well, we're 50 years in the future. So humans are dead, most likely. But a lot of these non-humans, Norup the Gnome, some of the elves for sure, some of the dwarves, are still going to be around. And then you're going to have certain humans that are of a line of other humans, like Portwort, whose grandson is going to be running his money changer and appraiser business. You'll have NPCs that have kids or have families that go back. You'll have others that are long gone and replaced by completely new individuals. So I'll have to look at each of these businesses and decide how they've evolved. Obviously, if something was set up as a forge, it could be completely gone, but maybe portions of it, the forge, the equipment that was there 50 years prior, some of that may still well be in use. And certainly stone buildings can still be there. Wooden buildings will probably have long been replaced. Some names will have stayed the same while the business is completely different, because that's how things do evolve. And I'll definitely be looking at each and every one of these locations and deciding what has stayed, what has changed, what has evolved, and what is no longer there whatsoever. Two elf brothers. These guys can certainly still be around in some one way, shape, or form. In fact, it's most likely that those are the ones that I'm going to have to focus on most as being still around. And those will be the interesting ones. Anyway, Mother Magnus. Oh, I see. Okay, so you must be Floyd. No, either Necromagnus. Let's see. Oh, Coulter. Okay. Right on. Mother was human. Mother will be long gone, I'm afraid. Sad. So sad. But we'll see what other things have changed. There may be people even better to take her place. Certainly, crime will have to become more sophisticated. In some quarters, and in others, it'll just be business as usual. Your theories were wrong. Well, what were your theories? You talking about theories of how things have changed, or about who Mother was? Coulter played in the campaign along with, originally 10 total players. We lost a few. We gained a couple. So who did you think Mother was? And when we say Mother, are we talking about... We're talking about the woman who was down in the dives, right? Let's see if I can... yeah, right here. Oops, no, we don't want to do that. Here we go. This Mother. Oh, I'm guessing that your theory was that perhaps she was an avatar of Lochliana, the goddess, because of her good soul or reputation such as that. But no, not the case, as it turns out. No, she put up a good front. She was a hell of a liar. She's long dead now, so I don't feel bad talking about her. But no, she was kind of the head of one branch of the Thieves Guild. So she had her own little almost Fagin-esque sort of outfit run out of that boarding house. And she definitely took advantage of a lot of people when she had the chance. Avondale. Yep. Yeah, we can talk about her now that she's passed. It's a shame, though. Anyway, I think we're going to wind this down. It's been about a half hour. And I don't like to run these things too long because who'd watch them? 20 minutes is probably ideal. Half hour isn't a bad thing, though. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for joining in on the chat. And if you're checking it out later, thanks for that, too. And if you actually don't get a chance to see this, well, maybe you'll see the next one. Take care. Everyone stay safe and healthy. And work on your games while you got the time. Certainly what I'm going to be spending a lot of time doing. Alrighty then. Bye-bye.